What's going on, wrestling fans? Welcome into Near Falls with D Hall, a wrestling podcast, episode number 71. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about and with a bunch of different college coaches from across the area at the Division 1, 2, and 3 level. Super excited to release this, guys. It's been a lot of work, a lot of fun talking to all these different coaches from around the area. Super excited to get into it. But if you haven't already, go back, check out my long form interviews that I released this summer. Joe Marcara, Mackenzie McGuire, Ty McGeary, and just recently Rob Walker, who I just sat down with, episode number 70. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, go back and check out those long form episodes. I really enjoyed having those guys over. And coaches, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, taking time out of your busy schedule this time of year. I know it's a lot, sitting down and talking about your squad. But yeah, man, a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy this edition of the NCAA preview, brought to you by Switch Custom Apparel. Okay, joining me now on the call, we have head coach of Tiffin University, Coach Tony Guerra. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Coach. I'm excited to have you. Really excited to dive into the Tiffin Dragons. How has the offseason program gone for you guys this year?
Not too bad. So, we got a good mix of guys, some that, train pretty steadily through the off season, and then a group of guys who work and have to do some other things. So, we had a couple of guys who wrestled at the World Team Trials, and then we had a guy go out to the U.S. Open out in Vegas. Anthony Anicetti, one of our guys, a Greco guy. He was a U20 runner-up a year ago, and then this past season he was an All-American again in Greco. So he did a phenomenal job. He also placed at the World Team Trials in the U20s as well. And then another one of our guys, Braden Benson, went out there and wrestled, went 2-2 in both styles, U23. So we got a good little freestyle thing that we do there in the spring with a handful of guys. And then when we get back on campus, we really get back after it here, in August.
Love that indeed. Okay, as you get into the season, how do you build your schedule? Obviously, the schedule is like one of the big talking points, right? Because at the end of the year, really the biggest thing is the end of the year, the national tournament.
Right.
How do you prepare those guys to be ready for that?
Yeah. So early on in the year, I guess I'll start with this. We have a pretty large roster size. We're at about 45 guys on the roster, right? So we got to make sure that everybody's getting an opportunity to compete and show us what they got. And so the first part of the year, first 3 weekends, we'll go to some open tournaments, right? So we start down in Roanoke at the Southeast Open coming this weekend, and we'll take a pretty large, almost 30 guys down there and wrestle. And then we hit Case Western, and we hit that's the Ohio Intercollegiate, and then we hit the Findlay Open, right? So large groups will go with us. They will travel. They will get to compete and get to wrestle. Now, like this weekend, I bet you 4 to 5 starters are wrestling, and 4 to 5 starters are not wrestling this weekend, right? So, you gotta know your clientele and your guys and what they're gonna need. So the first half of the year is a little bit heavy with some of the tournaments, and you're going to get some more matches, right? I think we have one duel in the first semester, and then we get ready for the Midwest Classic, which is there at the end of that first semester there. So, and then as we move into the second semester, that's when we hit some more of our duels, and where we're really starting to fine tune things and get guys in shape where they need to be. So I think you got to kind of just look at your lineup overall and look at is it an old group? Is it a younger group? Can they handle some more matches? Do they not need as many matches? And so I think every year is going to be a little bit different in terms of how you're planning your schedule and whatnot. And typically, the way that I've done things is that second half is a little lighter with some more duels. So, you can really evaluate and fine tune some things as you get closer to the regional tournament.
Who are some of the leaders, some of the captains that you're going to be leaning on this season?
Yeah, so just a couple guys that kind of come to mind. Casey Barnett is our 157 pounder. I think rankings just came out. He was ranked third in the country. He was the blood round guy last year, regional champ for us. He's the all-time pins leader in the state of Ohio. So I mean, he's a guy, and he's much more of not so much a vocal guy, but he's gonna speak by his actions. So he's in the room doing all the right things, and he's the first one there, last one to leave type of guy. Matt Zuckerman's another guy that I really like to talk about. He's a returning national qualifier from 2 years ago at 149 pounds, and he's again one of those leader guys. He's fourth year guy, so one of our older guys in terms of our roster. I mean, we're really young, and so he's kind of the older voice for some of these guys. And then another guy is Jacob Noon. He's a regional champ for me last year at 197 pounds. Again, he's one of the guys that's going to come in, keep his nose down, do all the right things, puts in the extra work, gets extra workouts in throughout the week. Definitely much more of a lead by example type of guy, as well. And to be honest, there's so many guys that I could really talk about, and guys that are doing the right things and that are buying in and that are loving the process and love to come to work each and every day and get in there and get better. So, obviously Zach Donathan is a returning national champ. As talented as anyone I've ever seen or got to coach. So, he's a guy who's gonna come out and hopefully do it again and lead these guys on the mat as well. So, um, you know, I can throw, Connor Twig. He's our 174 pounder, right? Like he just
Yep.
got ranked in the country this year. He's, one of those guys. And, Anthony Anicetti and Max Shore and Jacob Pale and Nolan Guest. They're like all these dudes. I just got a great group of guys who work. And, when you say who are some of the leaders that these guys can lean on, it's like they all lean on each other because they
Mm.
all have the same mindset, right? They all have the same goal in mind. They're all bought in and they're going to do the things that are necessary, to achieve the things that we have, the goals that we have set for ourselves. So,
Yeah, I got you. No, and I love that. It sounds like you're building a real team family atmosphere,
oh
which is
yeah,
awesome. So the next thing I got to talk to you about, and I've talked to all the college coaches about this year. I feel like it's one of the big questions. Um, as you go through the offseason and how are you building your roster? Are you guys going a lot of high school guys still traditionally? Are you looking to the transfer portal? I know that's completely changed from 5-10 years ago. What's your approach on all this?
I'm more so of let's get a guy in as a freshman. Let's build them. Let's get them to buy into the process. And, because I think you see much more development when you bring a guy in as a freshman than you do sometimes when you get a transfer in. Sometimes it's just kind of them and their best interests versus what's the best interest of the team because, these freshmen that are coming in, they're buying in from day one, to the culture and what we're preaching and all those things, right? So, definitely not opposed, obviously, to the transfer portal. If you get the right guy and you put him in the right environment, I think you can see a lot of success. And I'll just point out, Jonathan, and his journey a little bit, right? He went to a couple different schools, and then he decided that he wanted to transfer here because he got to know me a little bit and the things that I stood by and the things that I was gonna put in place for him to be successful. And it was the perfect fit and the perfect match, right? So I definitely think there's a place for the transfer portal because at 18 years old you don't always know exactly what you want, and sometimes at 18 years old you might make a decision that wasn't the best for you in your future, and you can make a move, and it's better for you and your family and everybody in the long run there. So
No doubt,
yeah.
no doubt. Next thing I got for you, who are some of the coaches that you're going to be not leading the charge, but working alongside with?
Yeah. So our head assistant is Nate Hagan. So he's a graduate of Edinburgh University, 4-year starter out there. Um, he was actually he wrestled for me in high school, so I got to coach him at Toledo Central Catholic. Won 2 state titles for me there. I've actually known Nate since he's been about 8 years old. So me and Coach
The
Simcoe,
best
who's the previous,
relationships, man.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So Coach Simcoe and I, he's at Grand Valley now. He's the previous head coach here. We used to go up to Toledo a couple times a week and run a little wrestling club up there, and Nate Hagen was a part of that wrestling club. So I've known him and his family for a long time. So it's an awesome working relationship. And um, then I got Zach Answitz, who is also from Edinburgh, then transferred to West Virginia, and he's our graduate assistant that we have on staff. So he's a Long Island boy, right? Brings some of those connections from over there, with Vito and Yanni and those guys. He wrestled, like I said, he wrestled at Edinburgh and then West Virginia. So he's awesome to have on staff. He's finishing up. He's in his second year of grad school, finishing up his
Vito
MBA
and
this
Yanni,
year.
that's not bad names to drop there, my friend.
No, not at all. And he tells us stories all the time about those guys in Bogar and things like that. So pretty cool to have him on board. Then I have a guy named Zach Thurn, who is a kind of a local guy from Clyde High School. Actually, wrestled a really short stint at Cleveland State as well. So he's been on staff a couple years now, more a voluntary role. But this year we should see a lot more of him this winter. Then I have Brandon Mendoza. So he was our 125-pound All-American from last year. He is also in the graduate assistant role this year. So I think it's an awesome staff.
That graduate assistant is such a cool that's a little niche, man. I love that. Guys get to hang out and, keep working out with the guys and see if they like being a coach. I think that is the coolest thing that they've added. And I feel like it works wonders.
Yeah, and a guy like Mendo, like he was the leader of the group last year, right? So a lot of these guys looked up to him, and they seen the things that he was doing, and then for him to achieve what he achieved and got on the stand at the national tournament and was an All-American, right? Like now these guys, when Mendo speaks, they're like, I should probably listen, right? Because he's doing, he's done this. We've seen it in the flesh.
And they're done that, right? That's awesome.
Yep, and that's exactly what what we want out of him, and what he's doing with some of our lighter weights. So great group of guys, great working relationship with all of them, and it's all about the guys at the end of the day. It's all about what they need to be better, and it's about us finding the right recipe for each individual and their individual success. So great group of guys. Love working with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Next thing I have for you, women's wrestling. It's the fastest growing sport in America. Is Tiffin on the map to get a women's team?
So we do have a women's team.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I didn't see that.
So we were the first program in the state of Ohio to have a women's team.
Okay.
So this is year number 6, I believe. Coach Chandler Menard is our head coach. He was actually an athlete of mine at Ashland University.
Mm-hmm.
And then Taylor Heights is the graduate assistant. So she was the part of the original class when they started this program 6 years ago. So we call her the OG, and she's been around here longer than all of us.
That's awesome.
But they had a national runner-up last year. They had a national champ the year before. So they're on the map. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. I don't know how I missed that in my research. That's not good.
No problem.
But okay. Next thing I have for you, in my research, obviously not very good research, but in my research, I have found that you are a golfer. What's it like getting out on the links? Are you any good?
I can't say if I'm good or not. It's golf, right? I mean,
right, 100%.
It's a really hard sport. Some days you feel like you're good and you got this thing figured out, and then other days it's like, what just happened, right? And I think that's part of just being an amateur golfer, right? Some days you might have it, and some days you don't. But no, I absolutely enjoy it. I like outdoors and getting out there, enjoying some time with with the guys. And my second oldest son just took up golf this year, so
there you go.
Playing on the high school team, so I got to play a little more golf than I normally do this year. So, and it's nice getting to spend some time with him as well.
Very, very cool stuff. Okay, next thing I have, any streaming options? How can we watch or follow you guys this year?
So I know at the Southeast Open, Flow Wrestling will have that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Track Wrestling has a good number of the events. We do some live streaming through, I think it's called Boxcast or something like that here on campus for our home events. And those links will usually be posted in our social media pages, in our posts that come out around the start of the competition or the day of the competition. So I think those are probably going to be your best bets. We don't, none of our duels are on Flow Wrestling or anything like that right now.
Gotcha. Okay. New question I have that we added this year. My co-host slipped this in here, and I love it, man.
Okay.
So what's one game, or do you guys have a couple games that you play to warm up the wrestlers? I've heard
Yeah.
handball, dodgeball, all kinds of different games, man. We're wrestlers. We can make a game out of
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yep.
What's your guys' go-to?
All right. Our go-to is this game. We call it a killer. So you get it's a volleyball. Okay. And you're in this big circle and you can kick the ball. It's like hacky sack kind of. So you can kick it, you can knee it, you can head it. And after the third hit, it's got to be three different hits. Um, the ball becomes live and it becomes dodgeball.
Oh,
So whoever catches the ball after that third hit can hit anybody else in the game. And once you get hit, you're out. And
okay.
it's basically the last man standing.
So
Um,
is it every man for
with
yourself after that, basically?
it's every man for yourself the whole time,
Oh, I
right?
like
The
that.
whole time. So um, it's pretty cool. We enjoy it. We've taken some balls to the face, but it's okay, right? And
Right,
you get to see some competitiveness that you don't normally see from some guys, right?
right.
In those settings sometimes. Um, and we actually did just hang a basketball hoop or a basketball rim up in one end of the room today too. So
Nice.
I don't know if you've had a chance to do any research on our facility or our room, but it's top notch, standalone, one of
Well,
the
I'll
best
tell
in
you
the
what,
country.
that was my next question. Professional segue.
Oh
Thank you for doing my job, my friend. I
yeah, no
appreciate that.
problem, no
But
problem.
I see these snaps, and Jake Pell, obviously, I have a
Yeah.
relationship with him. Him being a Freedom boy, I have a close relationship
Mhm.
with all the Freedom guys. But man, he just preached about how beautiful the campus was and how he couldn't just get over it whenever he left. Talk about your facilities and what you guys
Yeah.
have to offer over there at Tiffin.
Yeah, so we got a pretty high percentage of student athletes on campus compared to the general student body. So, I mean, it's only right that we invest into our athletic facilities. But even on top of the athletic facilities, if you just take a walk through campus, like it's clean, the maintenance guys always have it, looking good and mulched and the grass cut and, the edges trimmed. So, from that standpoint, it's even a beautiful, beautiful campus. But in terms of our facility, we have an indoor turf room, 50-yard football field that we get to use occasionally. The football team obviously uses, and a lot of other teams use it. And that's connected to our indoor field house, which is an indoor track with 4 basketball courts and 4 tennis courts. So, um, amazing facilities over there. It's called the Heminger Center. And then, just to talk a little bit about our wrestling facility, it's again, like I said, standalone. One of the
Mhm.
few standalone facilities in the country in any division. It has nearly 6,000 square feet of wrestling mat.
Ooh,
Inside of our wrestling room, we have some bikes, treadmills, bunch of cardio equipment inside there as well. Um, and then it houses our men's and women's locker rooms as well. 4 coaches' offices, as well as our own weight room inside of our facility as well. So everything that we need is all in one location, and these guys they really appreciate it. It doesn't always make you a better wrestler, but having nice stuff, is nice, and it's an investment, right? They're investing into us. We have to invest back into them. So they're certainly blessed and honored to have the facilities that they have for sure. As
that's
are we
awesome.
as coaches. It's
Yeah,
it's
man,
nice
makes
to.
it easy to come to work whenever you're coming to
Mhm.
something beautiful every day, no doubt.
Oh yeah,
Okay. What are some of the goals and expectations you have for this squad before I leave you go with the last couple questions?
yeah. Obviously, I think our priority this year is to try to get a trophy. At the national tournament. I think we got some guys that are under the radar right now, but I think are going to make some noise here as the year goes on. And with the leadership, with Donathan kind of leading the way there, the Nationals last year getting 3 first period pins. I'm optimistic that he can repeat and do it again. Obviously, a long ways away and a lot of things that need to be done. But we got the utmost confidence in him to do that again. And then some of these younger guys, like I said, that might be under the radar a little bit, are going to come out and surprise some people. So, I think we're ranked first in the region right now, which I think says a lot, but it also shows a little bit of our guys being young. They're kind of ranked a little bit lower in some areas, which I think by the end of the year they can they can be towards the top of that regional ranking, which will then move them into the national rankings. But rankings are rankings. At the end of the day, we gotta toe the line, strap it up, and go after it. So I think that's our probably our main priority this year. Obviously winning the conference tournament is always a good goal for the guys. You got teams like Ashland, Lake Erie, who's ranked pretty high in the country right now. Finley's always got some great guys. Coach Nelson does an awesome job over there. Thomas More is joining the conference this year, and Kentucky Wesleyan in there as well. So it's a tough conference in general. I think 3 of those teams are ranked in the top 15 in the country. So I think that's another goal for us as well.
Awesome stuff. Okay, Coach, this is the first time I've ever had you on. I ask everyone this question that comes on my show, so don't feel like I'm picking on you. But
okay.
Give me your favorite near fall or pin you've ever been a part of.
Favorite near fall or pin that I've ever been a part of.
So as you think, I'll tell you how it kind of goes.
Okay.
I have these guys on. Some guys give me, they've been coaching a kid for a long time, and he finally gets a pin against an opponent, gets over the hump. Some guys are like, I was wrestling a dude, finally beat that son of a gun, and got over the hump. Or it was a teammate that no one thought had any chance of beating a dude, and they win it to get over a match. So yeah, man, I think it's a pretty cool question. It can go a bunch of different ways.
If I gotta see if I remember this match correctly. I'm pretty sure last year Brandon Mendoza in the blood round match, to be an All-American. I just seen all the hard work that this kid put in, to achieving that goal, and he comes out and he goes down early in the match, comes back, just keeps grinding, just does what Mendoza does, and finally gets on top, wears the guy out, turns him in, and gets the fall to be
That's
an All-American.
awesome.
So just the look on his face when he comes running over to us, it was an awesome feeling, and it was awesome to be able to celebrate that with him. So I think up to this point, that's probably one of the most exciting falls that we've had.
Oh man, that's a good one.
I've been a part of. So
yeah, man, that's a great one. Great answer indeed. I love it. Okay, Coach. Anything or anyone you want to shout out before I leave you go?
No, just all my guys and all the hard work that they put in. It's not easy. We have that talk all the time. It's one of the hardest things that they're ever going to do in their life. And if you stay focused, you have a plan, you believe in the process, and you're driven, I think anything is possible. So, just shout out to the guys, and hopefully us having a successful year. And you for allowing me to come on here and share a little bit with you.
My man, appreciate you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait to maybe catch a match out there in Tiffin.
Yep. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.